Hello, dear friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is news time again from this very good channel. Welcome back. How are you all doing? Hope you're good. I pray that God will be with you in your endeavors. Today, we have another update for you. And I want you to, after listening to it, you drop your opinion and suggestions you have so that Biafra will be free. And that's just it. Okay, let's go there.
Proclaiming Biafrans, Igbos, our brothers. Our government, the Israeli government, helped the Biafrans during the war. That we are not going to abandon our people. And of course, one will be wondering how the Jew understand that actually this is our blood. It's like blood is thicker than water.
Yes, I can tell you that very clearly. It is one of the things Nnamdi Kanu started making very clearly, and was able to introduce some form of religion in synergy with the Jewish worship. And what's the sweet Jewish worship? That Judaism synagogue.
I believe that Israel still continues with this path of supporting its friends, its allies, its family. And just like we did that in 1967, Israel supports and does what it can. I did hear that Mr. Kanu was in Israel, in Jerusalem, before he was abducted and disappeared from the public's eye. And this is the most important thing that I want Biafrans to take from this discussion, that Israel, we stand with you guys. And although the cause of Biafra is not very familiar with the world and with Israelis, I want to say that, because of my activity, because of what I do, more and more Israelis are hearing about the cause of Biafra each and every day. So yes, we do stand with you. I want you to know that.
There's no two ways about it. We do not have any option that embrace the reality of who we are. And what is the reality of who we are? The Igbos is being believed to have this synergy, to have this connection, to have this doctrine, to have this divinity with the God, and knowing fully well that what we are talking about started from Seth, not from, Abraham.
But at what point did Biafrans, Igbos realize that they are Jew?
That's what I'm telling you. If you look at what Seth, Seth came before Abraham. The Jews became the Hebrews. The Jews, the Hebrews, the Israelis, became significant under, Abraham. We're trying to tell you, ours started from the days of Seth. Where their kingdom started, evolving over the years to a point that it got to Abraham and it became very significant. The thing is that because of regeneration and generational change over the years, there was a time that the entire history of this world was lost for over centuries. I can tell you, go and check record. Yes.
I had to talk about the place I can read.
Yes.
How the historical, archaeological fact you can get from Uri actually point to the point that Biafrans are Jew.
Yes, like I said it very before, because I participated in the burial ceremony of former Super Eagles player Emmanuel Emenike. Yes.
And you saw for yourself?
Yes, I saw. I was at Uri. If you go to Uri today, every hamlet, every corner, every place, every village, every Okporo, what we call Okporo, heritage, ancient heritage. If you enter Uri, any palace, any place you enter, you will see Star of what? David. You cannot see it anywhere in Nigeria apart from Uri. You see it. You see the one ancient. You read the history. They will take you to where Uri. You see the progenitors. How it came to a point. Even Igala was one of the sons of Eri. Eri. As at that time, it is Igala. You're talking about Igala. This is Igala, Kogi State. So when you look at all those things, it gives you a sense of reasoning that actually, because bros, you cannot be what you are not. These people have kept this history, this trace, this understanding, psychology, everything, right from the beginning of time. It's not something that started now.
That may have explained the reason the Jew protected Nnamdi Kanu when he escaped from Nigeria after the Operation Patton.
Yes, Nnamdi Kanu was found there, in Jerusalem because he has already had a part as a Jewish man. You know, he has already identified himself with the Jewish worship. He has already understand himself as someone who believe in that category. Remember what he told the court at that time. He made it very clearly that, you know, I am a Jew. I am a Jew. He said, who are you? He said, I'm a Jew. And what makes you a Jew? Can you be able to produce? Yes, and he did exactly that. Bros, we cannot be what we are not. That's the and not only that, everything that Igbo man does points to that direction, that Igbo man has that significance with the reality of the Jews in the Bible. I'm not talking about the Jews of the present day, you know, the Jews of the Bible. You know, the Jews of the Bible is what I'm talking about. So, and like I was explaining, that after centuries, the world history was wiped away from the earth. You know, a researcher, a man came up and brought back some certain ones they can lay their hand on. And unfortunately, Biafra was one of the things they laid their hand upon, you know, as a kingdom, as at that time. So what does that tell you? And it tells you that this very particular man also wrote a story about the Igbos when the world has not civilized. And what was the story? He said that these people behave like the ancient Jews of Israel.
But Mr. I want to take it to an angle, because you did said the other day that Igbos are the fourth richest in the world, fourth richest tribe in the world. Is it the Jewish lineage they derive that strength?
Bros, okay, if you want to try it now, start business with an Igbo man in one particular place and see what will happen after 5 years. You will notice that Akachukune, there's divinity in what he's doing.
There's hand of God.
Yeah, there's hand of God, because that what you're seeing is already a covenant that has taken place many centuries by his great grandfathers that entered into covenant with God. And God is God of covenant. God knows how to represent covenant. That is it. So you see what is happening to Igbo, the Igbo rise, the way Igbos do their something, is not just ordinary. It's as a result of the covenant they have entered with Chukwu Okike Abiyama, the God of Abraham,
the God of creation.
The God of creation. And that has, look at what is happening to Israel today. It's not as a result of covenant they have entered with God. It's the same covenant that we entered with God. We are the children of Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham.
Okay, now let me bring you back to Nigeria, where RFI have actually rocked the boat. Remember that RFI played a significant role in Tinubu emerging the president in 2023, and surprisingly, he was not accommodated in Tinubu's government. And RFI come out clearly to say that it was not any security report that deprived him from being screened, that the president at the point changed his mind and didn't want him in his cabinet. Of course, he said he had told the president like that. But the point here is, RFI made a very categorical statement that the same way a Jonathan could not return for a second term, that Tinubu is going to go to Jonathan.
Of course, before I look, I want to conclude on the issue of Fubara, finally, and I want to pass a certain message to the issue surrounding that Fubara. I just want to mention one thing, and unfortunately, it has become very clear on the side of the Supreme Court that they are very biased. The Supreme Court is no longer, it's a shame. It's a pure disaster. This alone is enough to destabilize the whole Nigeria. That judgment by the Supreme Court. Justice for Sunday Jackson too. The world is taking note, the American government is taking note, and I can tell you, that the militants in Niger Delta have finally returned to the Greeks, waiting for because what we're going to see is civil unrest, chaos, war, and disintegration.
Okay, that's said. Take us to RFI.
That's what we are going to see. So finally, to RFI. RFI has always been a major force. You can't take that away. We saw when they wanted to form a coalition many years ago under Jonathan. It was RFI that the Northerners delegated to meet with Fashola, and after meeting with Fashola, they factored Arabeshola and the rest of them in, and Tony Momo took advantage of that, and that was how Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in, and they were able to form a coalition that removed Jonathan from power. I may not like RFI as a person, but this is a matter of the gathering. I can't say they are spent forces, but I can tell you it's a gathering of people who want to see how to wrestle power from the APC. The northern political elite have made it very clearly that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a burden to Nigeria currently now. That's from the northern axis, and anything that will, the north is not going to take over power. The north is not interested to take over power 2027. But what the northern Nigeria is saying at this point is that a certain replacement for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I can tell you categorically clear that that agenda will fly.
So the way it is now, RFI shut down Tinubu's ambition of 2027.
Of course, now complete shutdown. It's shutting down in the sense that we are going to see, according to Kola Olubolaye, I think former PDP publicity secretary Olubudia told us PDP's publicity secretary that made it very clear. He said the kind of opposition that is going to come at this point in time, Nigerians have never seen it and they have not witnessed it. So having moved to SDP, of course, there's going to be an understanding of Kwankwaso coming in. There's going to be an understanding of Atiku coming in. There's also going to be Kwankwaso of a big factor, which is going to be considered as a major factor in getting the ticket of the opposition at the end of the day. But I can tell you that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is already giraffing, trying to know what is going on within the circle, and everything is being kept in the secret. But the Lion of Bodlum, according to call him now, will be surprised to be the first governor, president, Nigeria, and come 2027, where another replacement is going to take place. Another factor is the Donald Trump factor. Of course, we know the role Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Buhari, and the rest of them played under Biden and Obama that saw Jonathan, lose power. Donald Trump is also there, and it looks like Donald Trump does not fancy Bola Ahmed Tinubu at all, and there has been crack on his international image and his relationship with the United States of America, and it's a factor. Nigeria is a factor. Nigeria is a point of reference when it comes to African politics. So at that point, Tinubu should be prepared. If care is not taken, he might end up becoming, another Jonathan in this regard, just like RFI is trying to get the attention of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the point that this is exactly what is going to happen to him come 2027. He might not smell Asurok again.
Okay, now let's look at the statement that came from RFI the other time, that before Jonathan's election of 2015, that the Jonathan's kinsmen were denigrating the North, despising the North, and that Jonathan paid for it. That currently the Yorubas are despising the North, that a Tinubu is likely going to pay for it. What look like saying like Jonathan, like Tinubu?
No. What I'm saying is that I don't think that kind of statement is important now, because what we are looking at is that how they are going to come up with something formidable, with a force, with a movement, that will wrestle power from the APC, irrespective of what they are doing. We saw Buhari, practice all manner of nepotic tendencies, and Tinubu is showing the same line too. Forget he gave also 250 billion for Southeast Development Commission. That one is just to mobilize for his election and whatever in the area. And I can tell you, Tinubu never won South. He never won Southeast. He lost in Ondo. being won in all these areas, or being won in Aso Rock, won in Lagos, won everywhere, you know. But I can tell you, by calculating that, he has a major significant vote from the north and some, I think, from the west too. But he never wins south, south, and southeast. What does that tell you? That, you know, if he loses north, Tinubu is nothing to write home about come 2027. And of course, we are going to see all these factors being played out 2027. The South and the Southeast will not support Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, unless he's trying to use Nnamdi Kanu as, you know, a bet come 2027, where we are seeing different lawyers assigned to attend to Nnamdi Kanu's case. Everybody is running away. Even the new one they are just appointed now has disappeared. They said he cannot afford to tamper with his integrity over Nnamdi Kanu's case. That Nnamdi Kanu is as innocent as the air. And the federal government is just mainly trying to take him from treasonable charges to terrorism. They don't have any case against Nnamdi Kanu, and that Nnamdi Kanu should be free. If Tinubu is looking at that angle, that Nnamdi Kanu will be used to get support from the Southeast come 2027. Well, Archeological has entered the wrong ground. Let us see how it's going to play out at the end of the day. But I can tell you that what awaits Tinubu come 2027 is bigger than what Tinubu is currently seeing as the president of Nigeria.
Okay, should Tinubu release Nnamdi Kanu ahead of 2027 presidential election, do you think it's not going to work for him as a bait?
It will not work for him, you understand? Nnamdi Kanu has defeated Nigeria, and they are even recommending that this kind of person should be tried in the ICC. Nigeria is not qualified to try somebody Nnamdi Kanu. According to Binta Yanko, he said that Nnamdi Kanu is a higher reality and someone who is supersonic. You know, his brain is supersonic, intelligent, stubborn, a legal astute. You know, he said a lot of things about Nnamdi Kanu. That he actually loves Nnamdi Kanu. That's what he said, that he actually loves him. You know, so that's to tell you the level of admiration and support and followership Nnamdi Kanu is even enjoying within the circle of the government of Nigeria, where a lot of people admired him, you know, for his resilient spirit. You know, so you understand that every Igbo man is going to behave like Nnamdi Kanu against Tinubu, because when we are seeing Tinubu, we are seeing Nigeria. We are not going to look at Tinubu as a Yoruba man. We are going to look at Tinubu as a Nigeria, where we come to issue that will determine who is going to be there at the next president come 2027.
So lastly, it then mean that when the Northern Networks Forum said that it was a mistake voting for Tinubu or supporting Tinubu in 2023, that a mistake they said they don't hope to repeat in 2027. It means they meant every word they use.
The North can never be trusted. We can never trust them. I can remember too that the APC still enjoy some states, as in some APC governors. We still having APC governors in the North, and they are very significant. And unless they decide to play some certain game like we are hearing now, some senators are already decamping to SDP as a result of the action taken by, you know, Erufai in that direction. So we are going to see a lot of alignment and realignment at the end of the day, and that's when we begin to see how strong Bola Ahmed Tinubu political structure is in the North, and what the northern threat against Tinubu 2027, what it looks like at the end of the day. The North, yes, Tinubu is a burden. They keep on saying it. You know, unfortunately, they are just realizing. But these are the things we have seen before now, that instead of using their brain, they are trying to match politics with religion. And this is the consequences, because they are complaining that the number of hunger in the land has increased from 30% to 75% under Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it's quite alarming. And if care is not taken, you know, it can lead them to something they will not be able to come out from. So the only way for them to do that is to make sure that Tinubu does not return to Aso Rock, come what may, 2027. And they are standing by their words and their meaning. And another factor is the issue of the tax, you know, threat, you know, which is being seen as a plus in the South, which is not, for me, it's not a plus. So the tax issue is also a threat, and the North is already seeing it as an anti-North policy, which they are trying to fight against at the end of the day. That's what it means.
Now, lastly, talk to us about Sheyi Tinubu, who is going about in the north in what looks like trying to redeem the image of the father, trying to make the north have a back end of Tinubu 2027. We have seen him clearly in some video sharing food items, sharing some palliative, whether in the name of Ramadan, but it looks like he wants to redeem the image of the father in the north.
No, what Sheyi Tinubu he want to do is that he want to register his presence politically, that he's not biased, he's a detribalized person, and if actually they are going to give him a space in Lagos to start with, that he's going to try his best. Another factor is maybe trying to market his father ahead of 2027, because I cannot understand very clearly that Tinubu has already started campaign in the north, ahead of 2027. So, and Sheyi Tinubu might be at the forefront in the north there, trying to do some clearing for his father to retain the presidency come 2027. But on a normal ground, Sheyi as a person, I do not have any reservation for him. I saw him as a young man. I don't know his background, his character so much. But from what I'm seeing, the guy is a smart politician. From what I'm seeing about him, and he understands his little way, his little beginning, and he had no option than to carry on like that. Whether he's going to become the next governor of Lagos State or not, what matters is that if he's ambitious, then let him go and test his popularity come 2027. But for his father, well, he has every right to support, to appeal to the Northerners, by going there physically to appeal to them that, oh, please, this is the policies, under the image of the father, seek for solidarity from the north, seek for the support. If that's actually why he went to the north, and started sharing food and all that, well, that's okay for him, and that's what the only strategy he thinks he can use, to get the attention of the Northerners over some of the policies Bola Ahmed Tinubu is carrying out as his government is coming to the end of his first term. Sheyi, I learned too, he's married to an Igbo woman. I don't know how true is that, but I can tell you that if he's ready to govern Lagos State, come out, let us see who you are, let us know you, and then maybe from there I will begin to have a bigger assessment of what Sheyi Tinubu is all about, whether it's going to be different from his father or he's going to play the same politics his father is playing. Unfortunately, a lot of people are disappointed in Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, including some Yorubas. I can tell you that. It is even worse and funny that a Southerner was not able to be sophisticated enough to champion democracy principles and leadership and dividends in Nigeria, having had most of the time for Northerners coming as president, and we have not been able to get to a level where the inflation is hitting over 50% to 60% in just less than a lot of bad policies and all that. So everybody just surprised and disappointed, and that's why everybody seeing Tinubu as embodied. And remember, they're not are also regretting, because this kind of leadership can only lead to loss of hope and patriotism. Now that will lead to people clamoring for disintegration of the country, and the North doesn't want to hear that. So Tinubu had divided Nigeria more than any president in the history of Nigeria, and that's the truth, that's the way it stands now. So there's already a suspicion on the side of the Northerners that this guy has actually derailed. This is not what we planned. Instead of trying to bring unity, he's creating policies and appointment that's been seen as tools that are championing disintegration of Nigeria through policy and making, and of course, the character of his administration.
Let me say very thank you for your time. This is a good place to let it go. This is Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you very much.